I think a developer would look like a geek, nerdy, clad.
Unshaven, glasses.
Well, they'd wear Apple t-shirts and have Apple products lying around the house. They wouldn't have a girlfriend, probably even a Doctor Who fan.
Spiky hair, beard.
There's a guy behind a door that's got enough of a crack they can slide a pizza underneath.
They probably got horns like that.
I think you won't even know who a developer is. I think you'd be surprised.
Hi guys, from that introduction you can now see that I need to buy myself a new top. Hey, sometimes clothes are comfortable. So I just wanted to cover quickly WWDC. There's a lot to get through, so let's jump straight in. It was a long keynote presentation, nearly 2 hours long. It was a course kicked off with Tim Cook. He is the CEO of Apple and he's done the keynote since the passing of Steve Jobs, but he doesn't do the whole presentation. He started off by letting everybody know that this was the 25th anniversary of WWDC, so quite a milestone. The keynote was going to cover iOS, OS X and Dev, so development stuff for the developers. Obviously it is a development conference, so that makes perfect sense, but a section less dedicated to the public, let's say. So he kind of started to move towards talking about OS X and talked about Mac sales up 12% while the industry is down 5%. So that's good growth for Mac. They've got 80 million Macs in the world now, and Mavericks, which is last year's free operating system, got installed on basically 40 million of them. In fact, 51% install base. And if you compare that to Windows, and he did, Windows 8 has an install base of just 14%. So Mac have been very efficient at getting that install base happening. So next, Tim introduced Craig Federighi. Now I think I'm saying that correctly. He's pretty much the go-to man for Apple when it comes to keynotes now. And look, he's an entertaining guy and he does present well. He likes to chuck in a few jokes and he pokes fun at himself and Apple in general. He's not afraid to throw it around, and that seems to work very well. He started off with a joke about the name. What was Mavericks going to be called? And of course it is Yosemite. We weren't surprised with the name in the end, but he lightened it up by having a fun way of kind of getting there. He then went on to spoke about the clean lines and the clean look that is available with the new Yosemite operating system. They've redesigned a lot of things, very similar to iOS 7 with some transparencies going on, and look, it does look good. They also spoke about a dark mode, so you can have dark grey instead of light grey on your Mac now. And basically they've simplified a lot of the layout. So only time will tell whether once you get the computer in your hands and you kind of add maybe some buttons of things that you like to have available, whether that simple look is still there. Notifications now has a today view and also widgets, so you're now going to be able to have sports widgets or weather widgets sitting right there in the notifications panel on the right hand side of your screen that you can open up. Spotlight search comes dead center on the screen now, so click Spotlight, it opens up right in the middle of the screen and it's going to have a preview of the results. So once you start typing things in, if you have a document, you're going to get a preview there. If it's a website or a Wikipedia page, and that's what's going to happen. You're going to be able to do web searches, Wikipedia searches, searches for maps, all sorts of stuff right there in Spotlight. Then we've got a demo, as we do throughout these presentations. Then we moved along to iCloud Drive. So basically iCloud Drive is pretty much like a Dropbox, but it's Apple's version of Dropbox. It's going to be across all your devices, including Windows. And basically, you're going to be able to chuck files from all different software packages up there, and it's going to be able to sync across to your iPad or iPhone. So it's a good advancement. Obviously, we have a bit of that already, but this is Apple's version of it. Mail drop. Mail drop basically means you're going to be able to send very big attachments, up to 5 gigabytes via email. Basically, it sends it via iCloud. We've got markup added to mail, and markup is really cool. You can actually edit attachments within the document. So draw on an image or even fill out a form right there in the email and then just send it straight off. Safari's had a bunch of changes and updates. I'm yet to be convinced that it'll suit me. I don't know that I'm going to change from Firefox and Fast Dial, which is a plugin that I use at the moment, but we'll have to have a look. Of course, we've got another demo in the presentation of that. And we move right along to continuity. So continuity has a range of features. AirDrop now works between iOS and Mac, but not for me because I've got an old Mac. Unfortunately, I can't use AirDrop, which is a real pain. But we've got handoff as well. Handoff basically means that if you're working on a document and you switch, you want to move onto your iPad, you're heading out the door and you want to continue working on a presentation, you can simply pick up what you're working on a different device. Say you're typing an email on your phone, but you want to switch to the Mac because it's easier to type on a full keyboard. You can just quickly tap on a little icon that will appear next to the dock and it'll open that email straight up on your Mac. Instant hotspot. Basically now you don't even have to sync up, you don't have to pair your phone and your Mac. It's done automatically because you're on the same iCloud account and it'll automatically connect to your phone if it's in your pocket, if it's in the next room. It's got that covered. SMS on the iPad and on the iMac, or Mac sorry I should say, have been around for a little while now. But now you're going to have your iMessages as well as your SMS messages. So the little green messages that wouldn't have popped up before, they're going to pop up now. Your phone's going to sync them all across, and you're going to be able to make phone calls on your Mac now. So you're going to be able to make phone calls, answer phone calls, and use your Mac as a speakerphone. So if your phone's sitting in the next room and it rings, you'll be able to answer it right there on your computer. So we got another demo of this, more jokes as you would imagine, including in that demo. We got a phone call to Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre, a new Apple employee, because Beats by Dr. Dre has been bought by Apple. So the interesting thing about OS X Yosemite is it's going to be free, of course, but it's also going to have a public beta or beta testing, which you can be part of. So that's another opportunity to get involved and get this software early. So Tim came back on stage and started speaking about iOS. He basically talked about 100 million iPod touches, 2 million iPads and 500 million or 500 million iPhones sold. What's more interesting is 130 million new customers to iOS in the last year. He spoke about 97% customer satisfaction, if I can spit those words out, customer satisfaction rating. 89% of the install base have moved to iOS 7. If you compare that to Android, at just 9% running KitKat. So some interesting stats, and really not surprising the way Android use their operating system. So we go back to Craig now. It's back to Craig. And first he looked at design, some design elements that have changed, or really functional elements really. I wouldn't necessarily call them design, but that's what they put them under. The first one is notifications. You can now do notification replies at the top of the screen or on your lock screen. So if a message comes in, you can just pull down and type a response. You can do Facebook commenting and Facebook liking and all sorts of things like that right there at the top of the screen. You can now double tap and not only see recently used apps, but recently contacted people. So that's pretty handy if you want to make a phone call to somebody. You just double tap the home button and right there, you don't have to go into contacts or go into phone. You can access it just quickly with a double tap. iPad Safari has had a bunch of features added similar to the Mac. New features also in Mail, just simple swiping to be able to get to a bunch of controls on your messages. Another demo of all these features, of course, filled with a bunch more jokes. Spotlight in iOS has also been expanded, similar to that of Yosemite, where you are going to be able to search the web, Wikipedia. You're going to be able to search the App Store for apps. So a lot of expansion there. Moving right along to QuickType. QuickType, the keyboard now gives you kind of predictive text and thinks about words you might be wanting to type. But also if you're asked a question, it will give you suggestions. Do you want to go to dinner or a movie? It will give the suggestions of movie, dinner, or something else as a third option. Continuity, like on Yosemite, of course, is coming to the iPhone or the iOS platform where you can share documents, etc. Messaging has had a bunch of new expansions with group messages. You can now add and remove people for conversations. You can click Do Not Disturb if you're sick of a conversation. You can even leave a conversation if you like. You can share your location, including a map, with other people in that conversation. And you can also see an attachment view, which will show you all the photos and attachments that have been sent in that conversation. You can also do audio and video messaging right there in the message without having to leave the conversation. We've got a demo of this. We've got more jokes, of course, and iCloud. iCloud was also covered from an iOS perspective, not dissimilar to what it was from Yosemite, but they wanted to reinforce that. Then we had a bunch of stuff covered in the enterprise field, which may not affect most users. If you want to have a look at that, you can check it out in the keynote for yourself. We covered health and health kit. Basically, it's all your health information in one place. It's certainly going to be interesting to see where this goes and how people use this information and devices we get. It's exciting stuff. There's family sharing. Now, this is what I love. Basically, there's lots of stuff here where you can share photos, share locations, you can find your devices. You can share purchases like songs and movies and books. Up to 6 family members can all have their separate accounts on the iTunes store, but with the same credit card. If a kid wants to make a purchase, you'll simply get a pop-up notification on the parent's phone where they can approve that purchase to the child's phone. So that's pretty awesome. So Photos has been expanded, and now you can store all your photos in the cloud, not just the ones on PhotoStream. So of course with that there's going to be search features that are going to allow you to find those photos when they are online. There's also new filters and editing. Basically you use little slidey bars to change the look of photographs now. It looks really awesome. I can't wait to try that one out. We saw a demo, of course, during the presentation. Photos is also coming to the Mac, so I don't know what that means for iPhoto, but those same filtering processes and all those filtering, all the filtering that you do to a photo is going to be sent straight to the cloud and available across all your devices instantaneously. You may need some more cloud storage. There are plans available for that. Of course, it's going to take a lot of space to store all the photos we take these days. So there's also some improvements to Siri. I'm just hoping she can understand me a little bit better. And there's also been a bunch of updates for China. So now we come back to Tim, and it's all about development and dev from here on in. There's lots of improvements to the App Store. A couple of highlights are app bundles, where developers can bundle apps together so you can download them for a discounted price, and also app preview, where you can see, instead of just a photo, you can actually see a little video of the app being played to see whether it's something you want to get. You can also take part, there's a thing called Test Flight, and app developers are going to be able to bring people in to test their apps. So you may be lucky enough to be part of that. Worthwhile maybe contacting some developers and say, hey, if you're doing a new app, could I be part of that? So it's all about development, as I said, and Craig goes on to a few things, and there's a bit. Let me whip through it very quickly. Extensibility. It's going to allow apps to talk to each other and share information. It's also going to allow things like third-party filters. We've got notification widgets, so when you pull down from the top of the screen on your iPhone, you're now going to have widgets there. There's a heap of other stuff. Third-party keyboards, including things like swipe keyboards. Those keyboards can be used system-wide, or they can be used in specific apps. iTouch has been expanded. Now third-party apps can use the fingerprint recognition technology of iTouch. I've mentioned in my other videos previously that I'd like to see that expanded. I didn't mention it in my top 5, but it's certainly right up there. It's just a matter of what they're going to do with it, and I'm wondering whether Apple are going to expand the functionality within iOS 8. HomeKit, like HealthKit, HomeKit is going to control all the devices in your home. So basically you're going to be able to go to bed and you can almost hit one button and it'll shut everything down. You can say to Siri, I'm going to bed, and Siri will make sure things like the garage door is closed. They mentioned this in the presentation. The lights are dimmed, the temperature's turned down. It's going to be awesome what they can do with this, but it's basically all that information drawn into one place. They've added a thing called CloudKit for developers, which is going to make online interaction with apps a lot simpler. They've added a thing called Metal, which is replacing OpenGL, and it's going to be able to make games a lot faster and better. They gave us a little demo. Now the guy from Epic Games, now he is the guy we were talking about at the start. He is super nerdy. He's obviously very smart starting Epic Games, but he's super nerdy, so cool.
Thank you. We've had the opportunity to work with Metal, And to illustrate some of the possibilities, we created a Zen garden.
There's a thing called Sprite Kit. It's something from the past, but it's been expanded. They've added a thing called Scene Kit. These are for more kind of simpler games, less 3D type games. That's all for developers. There's a new programming language called Swift. It looks a lot faster and simpler to program, and the audience got super excited about this. Of course, there was a demo, and this probably sums up for most people the dev part of the presentation.
You know how many people at home are going, what in the heck are these guys talking about?
So that about wraps it up. Tim Cook basically came back out and said thanks to everybody and thank you to all the Apple staff around the world who made it possible. This is my very quick wrap up of what was a very long keynote. If you're into Apple, if you're into iOS, sit down and watch it. You can probably skip the last half hour, which is that dev stuff. You'll know when it's getting into the dev. But the other stuff, it's very interesting. It was a good presentation and there's lots of features, and there's lots more features that weren't even mentioned there that have been added. So much to cover. So I'm Simon from Tech My Life Video. Check me out on Facebook, Tech My Life Video on Facebook. Please comment below. Please like the video, and of course subscribe to the channel to check out all my up and coming videos. And I'll see you next time. Bye.